Common critiques of agorism and agorist responses from a radical objectivist anarcho-capitalist lens, also informed by LiquidZulu's content. Agorism, Samuel Edward Konkin III, synthesis of Rothbardian market anarchism with counter-economics as the primary strategy for achieving a stateless society, is often treated by radical objectivists and consistent ancaps as tactical emphasis within anarcho-capitalism rather than a wholly separate philosophy. The core idea, withdraw consent and resources from the state via black and gray market activities, counter-economics, until the state withers from lack of support, all while building a voluntary agoric institutions, no voting, no lobbying, no political means. LiquidZulu at LiquidZulu on YouTube does not appear to have produced any dedicated video, article, or stream explicitly critiquing agorism or Konkin. Searches across his channel, uploads, websites, LiquidZulu, GitHub, and related discussions, e.g. his June 2023 strategy debate with Mod 5 Chronic, AMAs, and philosophy-focused content yield no direct engagement with counter-economics, the new Libertarian Manifesto, or agorist-specific claims. He references Konkin once positively in passing in his Anatomy of Celebritarian Peace, when quoting SEK III's terms, natural outlaws, approvingly against ethical nihilists who reject rights and reason. LiquidZulu's output instead centers on argumentation ethics, Hoppean objectivist synthesis, praxeology and subjective value theory, critiques of statism, altruism, and midwit conformity, spreading rational philosophy to intellectuals as the driver of historical change, philosophical theory of history versus psychological black pill defeatism. His strategy discusses, e.g., the 5 Chronic debate, emphasize promulgating Enlightenment, Randian objectivist ideas among thinkers and building a vanguard of convinced individuals, not counter-economic withdrawal per se. This implicitly aligns with radical objectivist priority, epistemology and ethics first, reason, rights, voluntarism, with action following. Where agorism diverges, praxis first counter-economics as the revolutionary path, LiquidZulu's framework would likely treat it as secondary or incomplete rather than wrong. Below are the most common critiques of agorism, agorist rebuttals, and evaluation through the shared radical objectivist ANCAP lens LiquidZulu embodies. Counter-economics is unrealistic, impractical. The state will crush black markets or they'll never scale to replace it. Rothbard's core objection, echoed by many ANCAPs. Critique. Black-gray markets exist but remain marginal. The state has superior force, police, military surveillance, and can opt out or destroy underground economies. Historical examples, e.g. prohibition, bootlegging, drug trade, show states adapting rather than collapsing. Agorism ignores real-world unpleasant features like organized violence or cartelization. Agorist response. Counter-economics isn't about one big dramatic overthrow, but gradual resource starvation. Every untaxed, unregulated transaction shrinks the state's tax base and legitimacy. Black markets have historically thrived under repression, e.g. Soviet samizdat, modern crypto, darknet. Agorists build parallel institutions, DROs, private defense, mutual aid, that outcompete the state on cost, reputation, and efficiency. The state's superior force is illusionary. It depends on the very productive economy it preys on. Radical objectivist ANCAP, LiquidZulu style evaluation, strong agreement with the critique spirit. LiquidZulu repeatedly stresses that ideas, not spontaneous market activity, drive history. Mere black market participation without rational philosophical grounding drifts into pragmatism or ethical nihilism. Counter-economics is useful, but not sufficient. Evasion alone doesn't replace the need for objective law and rights derived from argumentation ethics. Agorists are correct that the state starves without compliance, but radical objectivism adds, without a vanguard educated in reason and the NAP, counter-economics devolves into Mike makes right. Red markets, Konkin's own distinction that some agorists soften. Agorists don't solve the problem of defense or large-scale order. Polycentric law needs more than underground traders. Critique. Agorism focuses on economic withdrawal, but under specifics, how private defense agencies, insurance, and arbitration scale against a territorial monopoly without first achieving some critical mass. It risks warlordism, or leaving people vulnerable during transition. Agorist response: counter-economics is the transition. As more people exit, demand for voluntary protection insurance grows naturally. Historical stateless examples, medieval Iceland, frontier America, show market order emerging. Agorists don't claim instant utopia. Counter-economics builds the customer base for ANCAP institutions. Radical objectivist ANCAP evaluation: this is where LiquidZulu aligned thought is most pointed. His content hammers that rational law, objective, non-contradictory, derived from self-ownership and argumentation must precede and ground any institutions. Pure practice first agorism risks whim worship or mysticism if participants haven't internalized objectivist epistemology. Reason as man's tool of survival, force as the mind's enemy. Defense emerges from voluntary contracts and reputation markets, but without philosophical clarity, it collapses into the very subjectivism agorism sometimes tolerates in gray areas. LiquidZulu would likely say agorism is a tactic, not a substitute for the ethical, philosophical foundation he teaches. Agorism is utopia, or ignores human nature, irrationality. Most people won't voluntarily go full black market. Critique relies on mass, rational self-interest. In reality, people evade via midwit conformity, tribalism, or short-term emotional satisfaction. LiquidZulu's exact terms in his strategy debate. Agorist response: not utopian. Agorism is anti-utopian. It doesn't require converting everyone at once. It requires a growing counter-economic class that demonstrates superiority. Historical shifts, e.g. absolutism, crypto adoption, start small and snowball via demonstrated success. Radical objectivist ANCAP evaluation: LiquidZulu's entire output is a refutation of the black pill psychological theory of history. He argues, with objectivist Randian roots, that ideas from intellectuals shape culture, emotions follow conceptual evaluation, not innate tribal wiring. Agorists are right that counter-economics incentivizes rationality faster than politics. But LiquidZulu would insist the primary work is philosophical education to prevent evasion and midwit bandwagging. Counter-economics without this is just another form of drift. Agorism is too purist, anti-political, refusing all reform or voting is self-defeating. Critique: in a world of partial victories, e.g. Millet-style cuts, blanket rejection of any political means starves liberty of oxygen. Agorist response: politics is the political means, theft by proxy. Any participation legitimizes the cartel and distracts from building the counter-economy. Historical reforms are reversed, only withdrawn in consent and permanent. Radical objectivist ANCAP evaluation: full agreement here. LiquidZulu's critiques of celebritarians, David Smith-style pragmatism, and delusion via alliances, e.g. his writings of Millet or Free State Project Risk, mirror the agorist line exactly. Radical objectivism rejects any initiation of force, including voting as indirect aggression. Counter-economics is the consistent application of the NAP in practice. LiquidZulu's non-critiques of agorism, non-explicit. His channel treats agorism as adjacent or compatible with consistent ANCAP objectivists rather than opponent. Where implicit tension exists, it's in his prioritization of philosophical education and argumentation ethics over pure counter-economic activism. He would likely view agorism as valuable tactic for starving the state, aligning with his anti-altruism, pro-production ethics, but incomplete without the rational, rights-based foundation he teaches. No evidence of hostility, unlike his sharp takedowns of statist left libertarians or pragmatists. Overall assessment from the lens: agorism's strengths, consistent NAP application plus actionable withdrawal, make it one of the most radical and practical ANCAP strategies. Its weakness are tactical overemphasis on the expense of epistemology ethics, precisely the gap LiquidZulu fills. Counter-economics without radical objectivism grounding risk becoming another form of subjectivism or evasion. The synthesis: Use Agorist methods after securing the philosophical base. As LiquidZulu's content shows, the real revolution starts in the mind. The market follows. Agorism doesn't fail. It's a powerful tool when welded by those who already grasp why rights are objective and the state is anti-life. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next video.